Welcome to Elevate Your Mind, your number one podcast for peak performance strategies that will enhance your mindset, develop your emotional skill set, and maybe, just maybe, be the catalyst to create positive forward momentum in your life. Here's what's to come from today's pod.
The power of a vision is the power of a purposeful life. Without a vision, you cannot create a purposeful life. You cannot create a vibrant, excited, happy, energized life. Why? Because a vision is the oxygen of that. Vision is the oxygen of life. Boom, and we are live. Guys, welcome back to Elevate Your Mind, the number one podcast to help you break out of these things. If you breathe oxygen, then this particular podcast will provide you with answers to elevate your mind, elevate your life, elevate your emotions, and transform it to a new level. So you see, within all of these episodes that I bring you, they all have a theme. And the theme that I want to share with you is that they always get born out of client experiences. So I'll be working with my clients during the week. I'll be working with my clients over a period of time. And there'll be a common factor that comes up with my conversations, or there'll be something that I find that really cements a breakthrough for someone, really a light bulb moment. And from that, I look to share that. I look to share that and help impact as many people as I can. Because people always ask me, about these episodes, and they ask me, why have you done it in that way, or how do you think of them, or where does the knowledge come from? Naturally, it comes from research, it comes from qualifications, it comes from understandings, all of these things, personal experience. But better than anything, it comes from my clients. My clients often provide me with the material because that's the real life situations. That's the real life situations that I know you are also facing. And today's no different. Today's episode is all around this vision. Please write this down. Write it on a piece of paper, write it on the wall, write it on your forehead, write it on someone else's forehead for all I care. Without a vision, you will emotionally perish. Without a vision, you will emotionally perish. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, strap in and get ready, because I'm about to explain the whole shebang to you right here, right now. Here's the thing, and I'm sure if you're listening to my voice and you've consumed some of my content, you may find yourself in this position, or you will have done previously. People are very, very good at telling me exactly what they don't want to feel. They're very good at telling me, I just really don't want to feel anxious. And, when I go out to that situation, or when I feel uncomfortable, I feel really anxious. Or when I'm faced with that situation, I feel anxious. Or when I'm in that moment of driving the car, getting on the plane, or when I'm OCD or phobia or whatever it may be. People are very passionate. They're very good. They're very clear on what makes them feel that way. They are very, very good at explaining to me their triggers, what makes them feel stuck, what makes them feel trapped, what makes them feel like this is the way that I am. And people are detailed, they're clear, they're concise on all of these factors. I say, okay, and this happens time and time again. And I say something to the extent of, and I'm going to share a few different options with you during this episode. What does life look like beyond anxiety, or beyond fear, beyond worry, beyond doubt, beyond stress, beyond OCD? What does life look like? Oh, I don't know. I can't even think that far. I don't know. I'm just trying to get out of this. Oh, right. So how will you know if you're out of that then, if you don't know where it is that you're heading? Well, I'll just be free of this. Right. So what will you be feeling then if you're free of this? I don't know. And see, this happens time and time and time again. People are so desperate to be out of feeling anxious, worried, fretful, doubtful, whatever it may be. People are so passionate and so driven to be out of that, but they have no idea where they're going. It's like saying, I'm in my car and I don't want to be sat on my driveway. I just don't want to be sat in my driveway in my car. I don't want to be sat in my driveway in my car. Great, where do you want to go? Oh, I don't know. I just don't want to be sat in my driveway. Yeah? Well, you need a destination. You need a vision. Without a vision, people emotionally perish. And by perish, I mean they emotionally disintegrate. They emotionally fade away. They emotionally dissipate. They emotionally destroy themselves. Because we need a vision of what life looks like. And as I say, one example of that is, what does life look like after this limiting emotion? And people can't say. I'll give you another example where you might find yourself. I asked people, and this happened earlier this week working with a client. I said, so you've been stuck with this limiting emotion for a while now. You've been stuck with this limiting emotion for a while. Let me ask you, if you didn't want to feel this way, i.e. anxious, fearful, worried, what would you love to feel more of? What would you love to feel more of? I'd love to feel happier. Great. What needs to happen for you to feel happy? This is the response. I need to not feel anxious. Big fat X. What do you mean that's not how you feel happy? No. That's not how you feel happy. You need to have a vision for what happiness looks like. Happiness isn't defined, I'm using anxiety as an example here. Happiness isn't defined by the fact of whether anxiety plays a role in your life or not. No, that's not the way it works. Because what will happen is you'll move past anxiety and then you'll become stressed or frustrated or annoyed or angry or whatever it may be. Why? Because you need a vision for what happiness looks like. Happiness to you might be spending time with your family. Happiness to someone else might be spending time in nature. Happiness to someone else might be reading books. Happiness to someone else might be spending time on their own. Whatever it may be, traveling, making money. There's all sorts of ways in our life that are individual to us all as to what, I'm using happiness as an example, happiness is. Happiness is not defined by whether or not your limiting emotion is in your life. The fact that you tell yourself that, again, keeps you caged. Why? Because without a vision of what it looks like, you will emotionally perish. And so what happens here is people often get so stuck in where they are. One, because potentially at times they don't have the right tools to get themselves out. That's why I do what I do. But as a core essence, they don't have a vision for what it looks like. They don't have a vision for the way that they would behave, what they would do, how they would act, what they would emotionally feel instead, who they would connect with. Once you start to create a vision of that, then you can start to make it a reality. Until you have a vision of what the other side of the fence looks like, you'll never make a step towards it. It's like this. It's like you're currently at a home, whatever your home may be, a flat, it might be a mansion, it might be a house, it might be a boat, I don't know where you live. You have a home currently. That represents, let's say, your emotional home, what that you don't like. Would you move from your home? Would you move from your home if you didn't have anywhere to go? You really don't like your home, but would you move from it? No. No. Why? Because you have no vision about whatever home it is where you're looking to move to. You don't know what the area's like, you don't know what the environment's like, you don't know if it's 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 bed, you don't know if it's got a garden, you don't know if it's got an island kitchen, whatever it may be. You see, you will never, and I'm not saying this to be abrupt or to be, too, just direct with you for the sake of it, but you will never break free from limiting emotions if you don't have a vision for what the other side looks like. The power of a vision is the power of a destination, and with that comes a force, like a compelling force that you can make a reality. All of you who has ever achieved anything in your life, anything, it's because you had a vision of it. I don't care if it's becoming a parent, getting a promotion at work, buying a certain car, whatever it may be. You had a vision to make that a reality, and therefore that's why you now live it. The vision that some of you currently have is caged and blocked by the anxiety box, as I call it, or the limiting emotion box that says, this is the only way that I live, and this is the only way that I'm going to continue to live, so I can't see outside of my box, and I really want to be out of it. I really want to be off my driveway of this car, but I can't see anywhere that I'm driving. Great. Congratulations. That will be your reality then. That will be your reality. You see, there's no skill, there's no ability, there's no special part that's needed for you to have a vision. That is innate within every single human being. The difference is some people choose to apply their mind, some people get used by their mind. Those that apply their mind create visions, create possibilities, create options. Those that get used by their mind often stay caged, stay limited, stay condensed within the confines of what they believe they currently do. For the parents amongst you, and especially if you have young kids, please spend time with them. Please spend time with them. Why? Because they will teach you everything you need to know about this particular episode. Spend time with your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old. Please. Or spend time with your niece or nephew, whoever it may be. Why? Because watch how they have a vision. They don't have the limitations and the crap that we have as adults. Listen to what they want to do. You know, I want to have this vision for my life. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a beautician. I want to be the president. I want to be a crocodile tamer. Even if that's a thing, whatever. But what happens? Some adult comes along and goes, oh, I see, little Timmy. But if that doesn't work, what would you like to do instead? What? Forget it. Don't bring your limitations over here. Don't bring your closed vision over here. Let the kid dream. Let the kid have that vision. Why? Because otherwise that child will turn into an adult who also has a closed. The power of a vision is the power of a purposeful life. Without a vision, you cannot create a purposeful life. You cannot create a vibrant, excited, happy, energized life. Why? Because a vision is the oxygen of that. Vision is the oxygen. It's what gives life that essence to breathe, to make it real. You're currently stuck potentially with a certain limiting emotion. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not neglecting that. I'm not saying you're not facing certain challenges at this time of your life and there's things that we need to do. I'm understanding of that, for sure. I don't buy into the fact that that's who you are though, and I definitely don't buy into the fact that this is all now the only way that you need to live. Absolutely not. But where you must help yourself, is have a vision for what the other side of the fence looks like. What does life look like when I overcome this? You might not know yet, but what does life look like when I overcome this? Or, you know what, I want to feel happier, calmer, more present, more purposeful, more passionate. Great, what does that look like? Not, I would just be free of this. No, what would I be doing if I was extremely passionate, extremely purposeful, extremely happy? What does that look like? Because when you have that vision, then you can go about doing things to create that and make that reality. And see, when it comes to these episodes, every single episode, like I say, they're born out of personal experience, naturally through qualifications and everything else, but a lot through my client interactions. I've had a couple of conversations with this week, and oftentimes, because many of you are aware of my personal situation and ways that I've been through in my life, they take me back to moments that I've experienced. And, you know, I'm not no saint in this area. I was the exact same. You know, to give you a brief overview, I was a professional footballer for many years. And when my professional football career was coming to an end, the vision of my life, and when I mean it was coming to an end, I mean that at a time when it was on a slippery slope downhill, and I was too stuck in my head and stuck with certain limiting traits to be able to foresee a way out. So I carried on down that slippery slope. And I remember I, at the time, was living in a tiny little studio flat on my own, and I would spend the time that I wasn't, playing part-time football at that time, and the time I wasn't doing a little bit of coaching on the side, not this coaching, but other forms of coaching. I used to work in a school, and I used to work in a special needs school as well, a lot around sport and things like this. I used to go home to that small little studio flat and look around and think, this is it. This is, you had it, Matt. You had the professional football career, you had, the wonderful lifestyle and things, but this is where we are now. And I remember for many, many months, I was very, very, very stuck. And if you've worked with me personally, you'll know that. But I was very stuck for many, many, many months, probably into a few years. And I remember I had an experience where across a period of a few days, certain things happened in my life. And one of the first things that I remember thinking to myself at that time, when I think back, is one, which I spoke about on this podcast before, is I can't stay here any longer. I must change this. I must change this. But two, and then probably more importantly, is I need somewhere to head. I know I need to get out of where I am, these limiting traits, these limiting emotions, these fears, these worries that are just consuming me 24/7. But I need somewhere to head. And I remember, and I've got, I have, like, you won't be able to see, those of you with me on YouTube maybe, I have a sort of a filing cabinet to the side of me over here, and I've got literally folders worth where I research and writings and things like this of all my work. And one of the first things I did, and I'm really proud of myself for doing this, one of the first things I did was I wrote down the 3 core areas of my life: my work or career, my relationships, and me personally and my emotions. And I wrote down, what is it I would love to have and be and share and give in these 3 areas of my life? What is it you would love to have, be, share, do, give in these 3 areas? And I wrote it from a perspective of a year in the future. So I'll give you a hypothetical date, but it was around this time. I said on this writing, I put, it is December 31st, 2016, and I have achieved, and I just went into it. And for each of those areas, my work and career, my relationships, my personal life, and how I felt within myself emotionally, I went through all of this, and I was so detailed. And some of you who have ever gone through a practice like this or done anything like this was at the height of me feeling stuck and this and that, but I needed to change, and I knew that much, and I needed to get out of it. I'd done everything else, tell myself this is the worst case scenario and I'm stuck here for life and this is the way that I'm going to be. I've done all that nonsense, and I've been doing that for many, many months, if not years. And I just was writing, and sometimes when you write and the pen almost can't move fast enough for your brain to catch up. And I was writing, and I wrote probably 6 pages of each. One for my work, one for my personal life, one for my relationships. And I wrote. And I'd done them all within probably, I was sat there probably for, I don't know, I'll be guessing, but it might have been 3 hours or so. I was just sat there doing one after the other. And I remember I'd done this, and I remember looking at it, and I was so excited. And that's the word I'll use. I was so excited. Why? Because I'd created a vision for myself beyond the realms of where I currently was. I'd created a vision for myself beyond the confines of what my current mind would allow. I'd created a vision where previously I was emotionally perishing. because I didn't have it in place. Now I had something that I could look forward to creating. And at that time, I didn't have the first clue how I was going to create any of it. I just knew that it was a vision for what I wanted for me in those 3 areas of my life. And, I've still got those somewhere. And, if I went digging through my cabinets, and I might do that after this particular episode, I might go having a look and find them. But I remember writing these things down and going through them all and doing all this and doing all that. And long story short, I'm living my vision with my work. Long story short, if those of you who are with me on YouTube recently, I'm not giving you the finger here, I'm holding up my ring finger for those of you on Spotify. I've recently got married. I'm living my vision for the relationship that I had then when I lived in a tiny studio flat on my own, no partner, no there. Emotionally, I'm in the best place that I've ever been, and I'll only ever enhance that from this point on. Of course, I'm going to face challenges and obstacles. But guess what? And the beauty of it is this. If I look at what I wrote this year for my vision, I'm nowhere near where I need to be, and I'm still moving ahead. Why? Because the beauty of this is, no matter where we get to, I'm incredibly proud, as I'm sure you are with certain areas of your life. I'm incredibly grateful, as I'm sure you are with certain areas of your life. But when we get there, we appreciate it, and that's the skill to then go, right, how can I move on again? How can I create even more happiness, love, care, content, joy, purpose, passion in my life? How can I give more in my work? How can I share more in my relationships? How can I experience more in my personal life? That's a vision. That's what keeps us alive. A vision is the oxygen of life. Without a vision, you will emotionally perish. I know you're currently facing some challenges. I know you're currently facing some obstacles. I don't doubt that. It's why I do what I do. I specialise in helping people break out of that and break free from the limiting traits that are holding them back. And I have a very, very productive, effective, direct way of helping people break out of that where they've been stuck for many months or years. So if you want help in that area, no worries. I'll be more than happy to provide that for you. But here's the thing. One thing that you can do your side completely off your own back from this point is create a vision for what it looks like. Create a vision for what life is going to be. I don't care where you are. I don't care what position you're in. What I mean by that is I've worked with people all over the world from many different backgrounds, many different backstories, all sorts of things. There's common factors amongst us all that make us thrive, and there's common factors that make us stuck. One of them is that you must have a vision for what the other side of the fence looks like, a vision for what life can be for yourself, free from this place, because that gives you a directive. That gives you something that when you're sat in your car on the driveway, on that analogy, you know what, I don't know how to drive this car yet. Matt's going to teach me as an example, but I know that's where I'm heading. This is where I'm going. That will give you an energy and a drive to find answers and to know how to work that clutch, believe you me. That's the point of this episode. Create a vision. Because what's the flip side? Let me ask you this. Because people always love to present their best limiting beliefs. They love to present, oh yeah, Matt, but I've got this. Yeah, but nothing. Yeah, but nothing. Not because I'm judge and juror here and I dictate the way you should or shouldn't live, but what? What could you possibly say is a reason for you wanting to protect this limiting belief or limiting emotion? I've done this in a previous episode. What reason? Because what's the alternative? That you stay here for another 6 months? Another 6 years? You know, if we're feeling stuck with certain emotions, it's quite clearly because we're not doing something, and we're doing something that isn't, productive for us. So therefore, we need to put something in place that allows us to move out of that. I'm giving you a vehicle to do that. I recommend that you put it in place. It can be highly effective. It can be extremely, extremely powerful for you. And it can be something that you can use, like I did all those years ago, to give yourself that excitement, that purpose, that passion to go, you know what, this is what I deserve to do. A vision of what the other side looks like. Because, say it with me now, without a vision, you will emotionally, correct, perish. And no one wants to do that. Got it? I feel like you've got it. And as I say, if you want the most powerful and effective ways to get there faster, naturally, I don't care whatever it is. I don't care if it was you wanted to make more money, you want to move house, you want to lose weight. If you have someone in your corner who's done it, who's been there, who's got experience, and more importantly has results, they can help you get there faster. And if you want me to help you get there even faster and help you break out of this, by all means, feel free to reach out. I have some wonderful opportunities opening up now, stepping into August at the time of this podcast being released. And that is when my doors are reopening to work with me. They've been shut for many months for many different reasons. If you want to know more about that, feel free to reach out. If not, go and apply this. Make sure it's a factor in your life. Create a vision that excites you. Okay? Lovely. I look forward to seeing and serving you again very, very soon, guys. It is time to elevate your mind. Take care.